Welcome back to the Kudlow Report, everyone. I'm Larry Kudlow. At the top of this half hour, once again this year, Republican Congressman Ron Paul of Texas won the CPAC presidential straw poll. And once again this year, Mr. Paul delivered a stirring, rousing, optimistic message about liberty. The simple question is, can Barack Obama be defeated? So, first up, it's a pleasure to welcome you back to the show, Congressman Paul. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Larry. Nice to be with you.
And I watched your speech on YouTube, and I thought it was one heck of a speech. Somebody who is not as bullish on you as I am is Mr. Donald Trump. I got a little clip from him. Let's just play that, and you'll respond. Hold on a second.
I like Ron Paul. I think he's a good guy. But honestly, he has just zero chance of getting elected. You have to win an election.
Congressman, what's your reaction to Don Trump?
Well, I guess he follows the old adage, good guys finish last or something like that. But, you know, that's not a truism. So, no, my reaction is that at least he said I was a nice guy and all that. But, you know, somebody else said, and I'm not going to pick on Donald Trump because he's a powerhouse, but somebody else said that he probably shouldn't be talking because he hasn't won very many elections, and I won 11 elections. Right. So that's a minor point.
11 elections, that's right, down through the years. So let me just ask you, you gave a very optimistic speech. You talked a lot about liberty, as you always do. It's a wonderful, wonderful subject. Why is it, by your own words, I think you were quoted today someplace saying you're going to have a hard time beating Barack Obama? Wouldn't the message of liberty be able to do that?
Oh, it will be. The big question, are the people ready for it, and who is the right person to deliver that message? I've never dreamed that I would be a messenger that I've achieved in the last few years. It's more than I thought I would, but the message, I have no doubts about the message, and I know that's what we need. I know that's what made America great, and there's going to be a greater need than ever before. Just like, you know, nobody wanted to talk about monetary policy, and they don't want to do it for academic reasons, but they're doing it out of necessity now. And people are interested in their personal liberty, and I think we'll have to, you know, come to grips with our foreign policy as well. When you think of the billions and billions of dollars that we spend, and you know that could help us move us to our bankruptcy. And most empires end when they spend too much and they spread themselves too thinly around the world. So I think it's a powerful message, and I think the time is right. It's just who's going to be that individual, and will the people be ready for it? But of course, that's what I work for all the time, is to try to condition the people to believe and be confident about liberty. There's no reason to say that you have to give up liberty for your security. I just don't like that at all. And we, of course, were advised not to do that. And I don't think it's necessary. I don't think you have to give up any freedom in order to be safe. I think we're all safer because we're free.
I want to come back to the liberty and freedom message. Just one little political tidbit, though. Look, you won the CPAC presidential straw poll last year. You won it again this year. You may be the only guy to do that back-to-back, at least in a long time. Mr. Paul, are you going to run for president? Have you made a decision yourself?
No, I have not made a decision, and it's a tough decision for me. It's a lot of hard work. I had to be really, really talked into it 4 years ago, and it's not an easy thing to do. I do feel obligated that, especially when I talk to the young people, because they get enthusiastic, they like this message, and I sort of feel some obligation. But then again, I see there's a downside, and of course, there's some difficulties with it too. So I'm delighted that nobody, you know, really has started announcing yet. They're making it a little slower this year. So I figure I have 2 or 3 months to think about it and be sure that I know what I want to do.
One of the interesting points you made, coming back to the freedom and liberty theme, you said in your speech, people should give 10% of their income to the government, just pay that, and don't ask for anything else. Could you expand on that thought? Is that like a 10% flat tax, but that's it, nothing more, no benefits, no nothing?
In a way, that's rhetorical, but because it doesn't fit what I've said before, because, you know, I've said that I don't even like any income tax. But that might be my moderate pitch at that moment was, you know, we're sick and tired of the government. We're always complaining they can't deliver the goods. But maybe we ought to allow this opt-out. You know, we'd like to opt out of this Obamacare. So why don't we have the chance to opt out of the whole system and say that the maximum they can take from our income is 10%, but then we don't take any benefits. No student loans, no Medicare, no Social Security, nothing. Just be on your own. And, I think that would be pretty tempting. That young crowd didn't frown upon this. Don't you think if you were just starting your first job, Larry, that you might opt into a system like that and say, boy, 10%, I get to keep 90% of what I make?
I'd opt into it even if this is my last job. That's how much I like the whole concept of, that means private and personal responsibility. Let me ask you just a couple more things from your interesting speech. One of your key points is this country should stay out of other people's hair around the world. You were very strong on that, as you have been in the past. In Egypt, we backed the wrong guy, like we always do, the dictator, and he just got overturned. Would you abolish foreign assistance? Would you abolish foreign aid?
Oh, yes, and I'm thinking very seriously in the next day or two if I can bring up an amendment to do that, to just have an amendment strike the provision for foreign aid for the four biggest countries that get foreign aid. No, I support that, and I think we should, because even though I was delighted with that revolt in Egypt, the people were standing up, but the fact that the army took it over, and the guy that runs the army is the best friend of Mubarak. I don't see a whole lot of optimism there, but it's great to see the people get fed up. But it took them 30 years because we were propping this guy up. So I think we should give up on that. I think, the founder said we should be friends with countries. We should trade with them. I think we're better off trading and talking with China. When I was in high school, we were killing each other. And I had friends and neighbors that were killed, in that war. But it's much better to maybe argue about tariffs or something, a little more benign than killing each other. So that's why I think we should be talking with people. And they say, not your enemies. Yeah. Like I'd be trading with Cuba. Everybody else wants to trade with Cuba. Why shouldn't we have open trade? What's remarkable about the free traders here? I think they're a bit hypocritical. They promote the trade agreements, which I have a little question about. They promote that in the name of free trade. At the same time, they're the ones who always want to put on sanctions. On every country they just disapprove on, they want to put on sanctions.
That's a terribly interesting point. Let me stay with the China point for a minute. Okay, you're a free trader with China. I'm a free trader. But, they're not free traders. There's no reciprocal free trading rights. And a whole lot of people around the country, ordinary working folks, I don't know whether they're libertarian or conservative or I don't know what they are. They're furious because China won't play by the rules. Mr. Paul, what do you do about that?
Well, the thing of it is, we complain about them rigging their currency, but what do? We debase our currency constantly. We want a weak currency, too. That's our whole policy. We want to be the reserve currency of the world. We want to issue the reserve currency, and we want to keep it real weak, and that it's supposed to enhance our exports, but it really doesn't work. When a country doesn't follow the rules, let's say they undersell us. Milton Friedman was great on this. He says, if they want to undersell us, take advantage of it. If they can sell you something cheaper, buy it and save your money and spend it on something else. The point is we're not competitive like we used to be, and it's not China's fault. We have too much taxes and too much regulation. We have a monetary system that causes a lot of confusion. We have the inflationary factor. If you got rid of all that and gave the incentives back to this country, I believe we could compete, and we wouldn't worry too much about the internal economic policies of China.
All right, Congressman Ron Paul, again, congratulations. 2 straight years you won the CPAC straw poll for president. We appreciate your coming on, sir. See you soon.
Thank you, Larry.